Warning, this video may contain content that may not be suitable for children or anyone else that is easily offended. Strong language, graphic content, nudity, bad jokes, and a possible idiot, aka myself, may be featured in the following clip. Viewer discretion is advised. Channel is not responsible for any damages that you receive watching this video. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Zims, and welcome to 5 Darkest Unsolved Murders in History. This video is by Top5s. If you guys haven't already, be sure you swoop down to the description box, click on that link, and go watch the video in its entirety. We'll be pausing and stopping and talking through the whole thing. This video was recommended to me by Tom P9821. Droid, drop it. I was kidding, it does sound like a little android or something. But thank you guys so much for the support, man. Let's keep doing what we do best, man. Let's keep moving on up, keep showing support, and the videos will keep coming. I know it says Unsolved Mysteries, but deep down inside, I feel like I'm about to crack every case that's in this video. Or unless it's that like that Elisa chick from the last video, man. If you guys haven't seen that last video, man. But for now, let's get it. Let's go. I'm about to crack this case.
We humans seem to have a bizarre curiosity with murders, but there is always some satisfaction when the killer or killers are given the justice they deserve. But then there are those cases where the perpetrator leaves without a trace and is never found. Here we have 5 of the darkest unsolved murders in history. Be sure to stay for the end, but warning, there will be some very graphic content. Graphic content, y'all. So if y'all weak stomachs, click out now. Click out of here. Start with a brutal and bizarre killing. The Keddie murders. Reports of a quadruple murder that took place in a cabin in Keddie, a former railroad town in the foothills of Northern California's Sierra Nevada mountains, was the most vicious attack in Plumas County history. The cabins at Keddie were originally built for those traveling through the area, but they were eventually rented out for long-term contracts. The community was pretty tight-knitted, everyone looked after each other's children, and doors were always left unlocked as there seemed to be no reason to lock them. But in 1981, all that changed. On April the 11th, 1981, Glenna Sue Sharp, a 36-year-old mother of 5, was at her cabin home with her sons Ricky, age 10, Greg, age 5, and her 12-year-old daughter Tina. Justin, a family friend, was also at the home, and Sue's other daughter Sheila was staying just a few feet away at a neighbor's house. Her oldest son Johnny and his friend Dana were in the nearby town, and everything seemed to be a normal night for the Sharp family. Little did they know, 4 of them would be brutally murdered by the morning. After returning home from town, Johnny and Dana were horrifically murdered alongside Johnny's mother Sue. And when Sheila Sharp returned home the next morning, she opened the front door and found the gruesome sight of her mother's dead body lying under a blanket. She also saw the lifeless bodies of Johnny and Dana, and a steak knife that was used to kill the victims was laying next to them. To give an example of how vicious the stabbings were, the steak knife blade had been bent backwards about 25 degrees. When police arrived, the cabin was a gruesome sight. There were stab marks in the walls, a large quantity of blood on the living room floor, and 12-year-old Tina Sharp was nowhere to be seen. Which means either one, she got away, or he kidnapped her. Also, the holes or the stab wounds in the wall, which means he tried to stab people, and they were like either ducking or trying to get away, which kind of explains why the knife was probably bent, because he was trying to stab them and maybe was dodging it, and he was sticking the walls and everything around them. So he pretty much ended up killing them with a bended knife. Anytime a knife is used, I feel like it's personal. That's like one of the objects that you can get the most closest with to somebody. It had to be someone they knew. Especially they said in the beginning of the video that the community is close knitted. So it had to be someone from the family, or it had to be someone either close by that lived in that neighborhood. After the autopsy, reports showed all 3 victims were tied at the hands and feet with tape and electrical cord, with Sue's bindings being especially tight. The autopsy also concluded that Sue and Johnny were bludgeoned with a hammer and repeatedly stabbed. Dana was for some reason spared from being bludgeoned and was strangled to death and also stabbed. After finding blood on 12-year-old Tina's bedsheet and a bloody fingerprint on a wooden post outside, it was obvious she had been kidnapped. 4 years after the killings, Tina's skull was found in Feather Falls Camp, which is about 29 miles from Keddie. The exact cause of Tina's death is unknown. The strange thing is that Justin, Ricky, and Greg, who were in the cabin, claimed to have slept through the ordeal. And although family friend Justin's statements have been inconsistent throughout the years, people believe he was just so shook by the event he didn't know what to say or think. But the strange thing is that police did believe Justin touched at least one of the bodies because there was blood on the outside doorknob of the room he was staying in. And also, due to the savageness of the attacks, it was believed they were personal, with the killer being a possible friend of the Sharp family. One theory is that Johnny and Dana hitchhiked home from the nearby town, and the hitchhiker entered the house and killed them, and many believe Justin had something to do with it. No arrests have been made in connection with the murders, and several cabins, including the scene of the murders, Cabin 28, was demolished in 2004.
There's your murderers right there, the brothers, Justin and whatever the other guy name was. Maybe he was jealous of the girl, because they only killed the girls and the mom. Maybe they was jealous. Maybe the mom was showing favoritism, the boys didn't like it, and they had to get rid of her. Or maybe the mom was treating them a certain way, and liked the other kids more, you know what I'm saying? They got fed up with it. I wouldn't say it's unusual, because it happens most of the time during these cases of jealousy, and the kids are like, oh, you know what, the mom likes her more, I gotta get rid of her. And they say, oh, I didn't hear nothing. Nobody sleeps through something like that. You're going to hear some kind of commotion. You're going to hear something breaking, something falling, someone screaming. You're not about to just let people break in and stab, you know what I'm saying? And then they're going to say it was blood outside the room that he was staying in, which means the killer either one, like, oh, no one's in there, I didn't see him. Or he peeked in, seen him, and then left, which is kind of stupid, because if you're going to kill everybody, you're going to kill the whole family. You're not going to leave two witnesses. You get what I'm saying? It had to be someone, because there was no one else that around her. They didn't have any suspects or anything. That was the only thing they seen, which means, like, if you didn't get no witnesses or you didn't see anything, no footprints, no tire tracks, anything like that, bro. Like, why would you lie about something like that? Obviously, you touched the door handle. Case solved. Although that's not how evidence works. It was the two brothers.
The umbrella killing. Next is the mysterious killing of Georgy Markov, who was killed in broad daylight during rush hour in central London. Born in Sofia, Bulgaria in 1929, Georgy Markov was a chemical engineer and technical school teacher, but he had a passion for writing, mainly novels and TV scripts, and eventually worked as a broadcaster and journalist for the Bulgarian section of the BBC World Service. Markov's murder was very unique in the fact he was killed by what seemed to be a mysterious assassin who used a gadget that was like something out of a spy movie. On the 7th of September 1978, Georgie was on his way to work at the BBC. It was a busy morning and he was waiting at a bus stop on Waterloo Bridge. He felt a sharp pain in the back of his right thigh and said it felt like nothing more than an insect bite. But then Georgie spotted a heavy-set man picking up an umbrella from the ground. The man mumbled "I'm sorry" in a foreign accent before hurrying across the busy road, jumping in a taxi and driving away. Georgie, of course, didn't think much of it at the time, but when he arrived at work, he noticed there was a painful red bump on the back of his leg, in the same spot where he felt the sharp pain.
Did he have a heart
that
attack?
morning. He began to feel ill, and after getting progressively worse, he was sent to hospital and died 4 days later on the 11th of September 1978. His cause of death was poisoning. The sharp pain he felt whilst on Waterloo Bridge was a tiny pinhead-sized pellet containing holes drilled at right angles to form an X shape inside. It had been filled with 0.2 milligrams of ricin, which is a deadly poison. The pellet was covered with a waxy coating that ingeniously was designed to melt at 37 degrees Celsius, which is the same temperature as the human body, meaning shortly after the pellet would penetrate the skin, the wax would melt and the toxic poison would be released. To this very day, who exactly killed Georgy Markov is a mystery. Nobody has ever been charged, but the most believed theory is that he was assassinated by the Bulgarian intelligence. This is believed because the Bulgarian officials did not agree with a lot of his books, so much so they withdrew all of his work from libraries and bookshops, and the fact that Vladimir Todorov, a former Bulgarian intelligence chief, was sentenced to 16 months in prison for destroying several documents relating to Markov's death, and also the fact that 2 individuals suspected of being involved in his murder mysteriously died in the 90s. Maybe the 2 suspects were killed to prevent spilling information. It seems we will never know for sure, and who exactly the heavy-set man who fired that fatal pellet will continue to remain a mystery.
That's why they did it in broad daylight. Who's going to be paying attention to broad daylight? Oh, a guy just dropped his umbrella, not knowing that umbrella was an assassination weapon. It's a government weapon. It had to be a government weapon. No, that is a complex weapon system. Look at this. There's a trigger on the back of this. There's a release catch. There's the spring to push the needle or whatever it was forward. Gas cylinder, the piercer. The piercer is a little thing where they have the poison on it. You don't really need that much ricin. You just need like the extract of it, which is really hard to do. That from what I've read, just touching your skin. It's kind of like the movie The Interview when they were trying to assassinate whatever his name was. They was like, oh, shake my hand. It's just that you touch it and you're pretty much about to get the bad end of it. Ain't nobody in there about to make this in their basement unless you're extremely smart or you have the help of somebody, because this is just like they said, they took him out because he had to have some kind of information. Maybe he leaked information, or maybe he was getting too close to the truth and they had to take him out, just like the last episode when the dude was writing about the little 8-arm octopus people and they killed him. I told you guys, do not chase the government because it's not going to work out for you. It never does. Just proving the fact of what I've said in the last video. That's how it was. I thought it was going to be a heart attack. Was I read usually it's like a heart attack or some kind of sickness or poison, but you won't be able to find it unless they look really, 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 really close. That's why they use this method. Because like you said, I thought it was an insect bite. Oh, something bit me, bee sting.
The death of Gareth Williams. The death of Gareth Williams is a strange one. The 31-year-old mathematician and Secret Intelligence Service worker was found padlocked in a bag in the bath of his London flat on August the 23rd, 2010.
I think I've heard of this.
At first, his death was said to be unnatural and possibly unlawful, but shortly after it was reinvestigated and concluded that Williams' death was probably just an accident. It was believed Gareth had a fetish for being tied up, and that he attempted to get into the bag as some sort of fetish, or that maybe he was practicing escapology.
So you're telling me he accidentally locked himself in a gym bag? How did you accidentally do that? So you're telling me he got inside the bag, zipped it all the way up, sat in it and couldn't get out. But even then, that makes no sense, because if you zipped yourself inside a bag, you would always leave a space for you, to unzip it. Why would you close the whole thing? You're gonna get out. Even if you try, how are you gonna do it? Someone had to be on the outside to zip you all the way up, no? Or am I tripping? I'm pretty sure that's the only way you can do it. Not like I would know.
Then, after becoming trapped, he suffocated inside the bag and died. Now, this is pretty much what the current status of his death is, that it was an accident. But numerous researches have been done to prove there is absolutely no way Gareth could have locked himself inside the bag. Peter Faulding, an expert in rescuing people from confined spaces, tried 300 times to lock himself in a similar bag, and said it would have been impossible for Gareth to get into the bag and padlock it from the outside.
That's why I don't understand how they just feed stuff to us like we're just gonna believe that. Like, yeah, it was an accident. He accidentally locked himself in a Nike bag or a North Face bag. It was an accident. Make sure you guys don't zip it all the way up and lock it from the inside, or you guys are gonna die and suffocate. Come on, man. I get tired of hearing the bull.
Harry Houdini wouldn't have managed it, he said.
Exactly.
If Gareth locked the bag himself, there would also surely be DNA prints on the bath, the padlock and the zipper, but there were none. The shower screen was also closed, making the area in the bath a lot smaller. The bathroom door was also shut and the lights were off, meaning if Gareth did get himself in the bag, he did it in total darkness. There was no sign that Gareth struggled to get out of the bag, and although it was in the middle of the summer, the heating in the flat was turned up full, meaning decomposition would be fast and forensic clues would be lost. Mr. Williams' iPhone was also found wiped, and the doors and locks had been removed from the flat by the time police experts arrived. So if it wasn't accidental, how did he end up in the bag?
Exactly.
The most believed theory is that he was assassinated by Russian agents due to the fact of Gareth's involvement with the GCHQ and the British Intelligence Service. Gareth was last seen by CCTV cameras shopping around central London from the 11th to the 15th of August, with the final image capturing him entering Alderney Street, where he lived. To this day, if you type in Gareth Williams' cause of death, it will say accidental, despite an enormous amount of evidence against that. So, the exact circumstances surrounding Gareth's death will always remain a mystery. Boston Strangler. Between 1962 and 1964, 13 women ranging in age from 19 to 85 were murdered in the Boston area in America. Dubbed the Mad Strangler of Boston, it was one of the biggest news headlines of the time. All the victims were strangled with silk stockings, or their own bras, and most were sexually assaulted. There was never any sign of forced entry into the victims' homes, so it's believed the women must have let their murderer in, either because they knew him or because they believed him to be a sort of maintenance man or serviceman.
Or a serviceman, so they let him in. So they either knew him or he was disguising himself as some kind of maintenance person or somebody that was delivering packages like FedEx or Amazon or something like that. Something to where if they were friendly enough to let him inside. Maybe he was selling something. Maybe he was pretending to be a Jehovah's Witness or something like that, I don't know. The only thing that sticks out to me is like they range from different ages. So he would go to places where they're known to be like maybe a church, you get what I'm saying? Because the way they're like from their 20s all the way up to their 80s to something years old, you know what I'm saying? He had to be picking them out somewhere in the public and then following them to wherever they live and disguising himself as something so that he can get inside their homes and strangle them. What is something that would you let somebody in your house? Think about that and let me know down in the comment section. What is one thing or one job or person that would come to your door and you would let them inside? For me, it would be a police officer. If they're like, we have some questions about a case that went down, down the street, you'd be like, oh yeah, come in. You get what I'm saying? But like if they're, I don't know. That's a really good way to think about it. You really look down deeper down and like, what job profession would you let somebody in? Or would you feel safe enough to let in your house? And I would be a cop for me.
In October 1964, a man who entered a woman's home posing as a detective was arrested for raping a woman.
I'm not even gonna say it. Yeah, I am. Bro, I'm a detective. Oh my goodness. I swear on my life, I have not seen this video. Oh my God, I'm good. Oh man, I almost left the room, y'all. I almost left.
After his arrest, Albert DeSalvo confessed in detail to the killings of all the recent murders and was convicted. But not all of DeSalvo's descriptions of the killings were accurate. Most, if not all, the details were wrong. He said he sexually assaulted all the women, but investigations show that not all the women were sexually assaulted. DeSalvo was sentenced to life in prison a year later for other unrelated crimes, and in February that year he escaped from Bridgewater State Hospital with 2 inmates. This opened a full-scale manhunt, and he gave himself up the next day. Following the escape, he was transferred to a maximum security prison, where 6 years later he was stabbed to death in the infirmary. The man who attacked him was never identified, which is a mystery in itself. Now, although he confessed to the murders, like I said, his details were not accurate, and several of the victims who survived the Boston Strangler did not believe it was DeSalvo. DeSalvo was also mentally ill, and the medical director of Bridgewater State Hospital insisted that DeSalvo was not the Boston Strangler, calling him a very clever, very smooth, compulsive confessor who desperately wanted to be recognized. But in 2013, it's believed the Boston Police Department released information stating that they had discovered DNA evidence linking DeSalvo to the murder of Mary Sullivan, but DNA for the other murders he claimed to have committed was never found. It's a confusing case. An FBI agent, John E. Douglas, who was investigating the murder, said the same as the medical director of Bridgewater State Hospital, that based on DeSalvo's background and information given, it's unlikely he committed the murders, and believes he just wanted to claim credit for them. And with the inconsistencies of his confession, inaccurate times of death, method of strangulation, and so many other things he got wrong, to this day we will never know whether Albert DeSalvo actually committed all the crimes. Maybe he just took part in one of them, and that was the cause of his DNA sample being found, but as for the other murders, they continue to be unsolved.
Either 1, he did it, or 2, he had an accomplice and they did it together, like he said. And I feel like when he went to jail, they killed him to silence him because it was drawing too much attention to the murders that was going around. Because if you think about it, if you found one of your victims that died the same way as the other ones, was sexually assaulted, was strangled, and you found his DNA at this one, but you didn't find him in the other ones, either 1, the DNA was erased, or 2, it was somebody else with him. Because how do you just do one murder but not none of the other 12? You know what I'm saying? That just doesn't make any sense to me, especially the same way they did it, unless he was trying to be a copycat killer, which I highly doubt. But yeah, that's like I told you guys, like what profession would you let in your house? You're like, I heard your refrigerator's running. Like, oh no thank you. Oh, I heard your sink is broken. Oh no, my sink's not broken. There's a loose dog in your yard. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, all of a sudden he was pretending to be a detective. What is one way you can get inside a woman's house, right? Allow me to watch this. Excuse me, ma'am, good evening. My name is Detective Zims, and I was scouring the neighborhood, and I was trying to get some information on the local killing that happened a few blocks down. It's a guy that's out here preying on women, and I would like to get as much information out as I can to help me be successful in this investigation. You have a little bit of time on your hands that I can come inside and talk to you for a bit? Oh yeah, sure, come in. And then what they're going to say is, you got a badge on you? It's not hard to find a replica badge. You can get a replica badge on Amazon or have somebody make it for you, or you can make it yourself, like no cap. And then you can be like, fake IDs, you can get those anywhere. Boom. Oh yeah, sure, come in. Dead. You just never know, man. Like my boy Zom said the last video down in the comment section, sometimes people hold us police officers to get inside your house and kill you. And I'm pretty sure that was that guy. That's the perfect description. They couldn't find nobody else going around and pretending to be something they weren't. It was him. Unfortunately, the justice system works in a way if there's not a certain thing or one point doesn't connect to the next point, it automatically cancels people out, which it shouldn't be like that. They should take the time and investigate and review all evidence that has been revealed or recovered from crime scenes in order to find the right killer. Well, let me know down in the comment section if you feel like I'm spot on, you feel like I'm far off, or do you get what I'm saying, or what is your thoughts on all of these murders so far. Alright, please click out. I don't want nobody to report the video. I gave you not 2 or 3, 4 warnings because the disclaimer, he told you, then I told you, and I'm telling you again, and he's about to tell you. That's 4, or maybe 5, I don't know, I lost count. But hey, if you got a weak stomach or you're not 18 and older and you don't want to see something graphic, please click out now.
You are probably thinking it's the infamous case of Jack the Ripper, but the Ripper story merits a whole video by itself. This next case, though, is easily one of the most mysterious and brutal murders in American history.
Zodiac, Black Dahlia.
It's the murder of Beth Short, dubbed the Black Dahlia by the media during the time of her death. Elizabeth Short was born on July the 29th, 1924, in Hyde Park, Massachusetts. She was an aspiring actress who grew up quickly and looked older than others her age. She began traveling around, staying with friends and family and bouncing from job to job, but eventually moved to Hollywood to follow her dream of becoming an actress. Sometime in January 1947, Beth was staying at the Biltmore Hotel in Los Angeles and was supposed to meet up with a man in the night, but after last seen leaving the hotel, she was never seen again. Her body was found on the 15th of January by a passerby in a vacant lot near Hollywood in a horrific condition. Beth's body was cut in half, was bruised and beaten, and also showed signs of sexual assault. There were also rumours that she had a mysterious red dye in her hair and the letters BD carved into her body, but this has not been verified. Beth was just 22 years old when she was murdered, and although it said she was attacked with a butcher's knife, many argue that great precision was used, which required a saw or some sort of medical instrument. It's believed she was held up by ropes whilst being severed in two, and could well have been alive but most certainly would have been unconscious. Her body was also washed clean and her blood was drained. This strongly suggests she was killed in someone's home or something similar. She was then taken and left at the Krenshaw district a few miles from the hotel she was staying at. Upon release of the murder, it made front headlines in the local paper for months, during which several men and women were questioned, but police could not validate anyone's story. There were also several false confessions, and the only possible clue to the murder is that it's believed there was a black car parked near the area where Beth was found in the early hours of the morning. But apart from that, there is not much else to work from. It's been said that the more you learn about Elizabeth Short's case, the less you know, and today the Black Dahlia murder remains one of the oldest unsolved murder files in Los Angeles, and easily the city's most infamous.
Alright, let me tell you guys something. The way that she was killed, she was cut in half, she was beaten, and they messed up her face. She was pretty much disfigured. Why, you may ask? Out of jealousy. She was beautiful. She was pretty, was she not? Which would be the reason why somebody would want to kill her. Maybe it was some dude that got mad because she didn't want to talk to her. Maybe it was a female. They beat her up to disfigure her because why? Her looks was of importance. Her looks were important. I wish I could have the person, whoever did it, confirm when I said they did it. Because if you really wanted to kill somebody, you just kill them. Why go to extra mile to cut her in half, to beat her up, to torture her, and to disfigure her face? Why? Because she was pretty. They wanted something that they did not have, or they wanted her and she did not want them. So in order to get that, it was either I can't have you, then nobody can, or if I can't look like you, then you're not going to look like that at all. So it could be either way. It could be a woman. Like, they can't leave that possibility out there, because there were women, many women that probably was jealous of her, or many men that wanted her and could not have her. So I think it could be going either way right now, and that's just my opinion. But I feel like they look past that. They don't really look a lot. I watch a lot of documentaries, and they say if you look at bodies, they tell stories, and that's what I got from that one. Is they killed her out of spite, or they killed her out of jealousy. If you have to meet somebody, people, let it be, whether you're a dude, whether you're a female. If you have to meet at night, make sure it's in public. Make sure you tell somebody who you're going with. Get a picture of the person that you're going with, or if you're not too sure, get a friend to go with you and meet with him and a friend, or just have a friend follow you and then be there off in a distance. You know, just in case something go down, you can pop up like, hey, what's happening? That's about it, man. This is a really, really good video, but it was also dark, so hopefully YouTube does not block it. I'm gonna end it right here, guys. If you enjoyed my content, be sure you like, comment, and on the subscribe button, be a part of the Murder Crows today. Again, if no one told you today, I love you. Make sure you swoop down to the description box, click on that link, and go watch the video in entirety while me pausing and stopping and talking through the whole thing. Yo, Tom P9821, thank you for the video recommendation, man. I greatly appreciate it. You guys keep sending them my way, and I will keep reacting to them. But again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to let me know down in the comment section which video did you think was the creepiest, and what do you think happened? Or if you just have additional information, let me know down as well, because you know I like to read up on that stuff too.